19 testing for the Final Four. It's tournament time. Kim Mulkey's a competitor at Baylor. Of course, they got beat, but she doesn't care. She's like, look, let's just play.
Yeah, how did the NCAA screw that one up so badly that Baylor and UConn ended up in the Elite Eight against each other?
I don't know.
I mean, I think Baylor was a 2, UConn was a 1, but man, that was a pretty good ball game last night.
It says here, did the referees miss a foul call late in the game with UConn and Baylor? Kim Mulkey and LeBron James, I think they did. Does anybody really care what LeBron James thinks about anything?
No. I think they missed a call late in the UH game, too. Oregon State guy was driving the lane. It would have made it a 4-point game. And UH defender kind of reached in, grabbed his left arm. He was right-handed dribbling, and he kind of got turned, and the ball went out the end line. And
they gave it
no call. They turned over to Houston, and Houston walked away with the victory. So, UH wins. Congrats to the Cougs. First time since the Phi Slamma Jamma days.
Go Cougs.
Go back
Kelvin
to the Final
Sampson,
Four.
Their coach.
Former Washington State Coug.
Yeah, a little bit of a journeyman. Sampson also coached at somewhere big on the East Coast. Where?
Idaho. He was at Indiana and Oklahoma.
Indiana, there you go. And got
to start at Weber State.
He was on the cutting edge of technology back in the day and got in a little bit of a fracas, a flap over texting players. They called it inappropriate contact, which it's all about timing. There's certain dates, blackout dates, where you can't talk to a recruit. And Kelvin was texting recruits during that time and got in trouble. But as far as being a really fine basketball coach, Kelvin Sampson is such. The men's team at Baylor wins 81-72 over Arkansas. Anytime Arkansas gets beat, that's a good day for me. Sorry, Jalen Bachnight, who's an Arkansas former athlete. We just don't like Arky.
On the women's side, UConn edged Baylor 69-67, and Arizona beat Indiana 66-53. So
that game was really close early, and then I went to bed. So it looks like you never know. It could have been really close, really late, and then the other team's trying to foul their way back into it, or it just got away with some desperation plays. But that sounds like a pretty good win there for.
That was a pretty good win for Arizona. Richard King, first one in. Good morning to you, Richard.
Hi, Ricky.
Randy Langston checking in. Chris Conrad, his Winnipeg Jets beat my Calgary Flames last night.
The Flames sure seem to lose more than they win.
Yeah, that's pretty
What's the story on that?
Underachieving. I don't know. Other than that, that's really all I can say.
Could we move them down here? We could. No,
they're set in Calgary. They're not.
We could call them the Victoria Sizzle. They wouldn't quite be a flame, but they could be like the Victoria Embers.
It's the Victoria humidity.
Right. We can get them down here. It's the humidity that'll kill you.
Scott Snow, good morning. Judge Posey checking in. Marvin Mickish, good morning. Kendra Douglas.
Good morning, Judge.
Rob Moore Knipling. Mike Bloschke. Andy Ria Jr.
Mike Bloschke is up early listening, which means there's a chance that Brooke is listening, but Brooke may not be listening yet.
Not yet. Bobby Leister, good morning. H.R. Mallory, the Leisterometer up to 829.
It was 833, but
it was 822. It was 733. Okay. We're climbing steady.
Good job.
Like the barometric pressure during a hurricane.
Exactly.
That's Diane Tippett.
Brought to you by J.P. Hull and Razor IT Solutions.
Patrick Strauss, good morning. David Glass, Lorena Bargenbrook checking in.
She says good morning pre-hump day. She sent
pre-Caldo Wednesday,
She sent me some coffee pics.
Junior Samples in, Justin Glass, Matt Boucher, Mark Jameson, Karen Webb. There's Don Nicole, Ron Sitka, Steve Kidder, Gilbert Ramon.
You'll appreciate this. It's either coffee or white supremacist T-shirts. When they have stuff on them and you can't read it, but it's coffee, I think.
Bad Santa, I think, is one of those.
Yeah, it's coffee. Interesting.
So the Suez Canal was freed. No more blockage. They used enough.
Fiber,
X-Lax to clear that up.
The water upstream is awfully brown, but it's flowing.
Looking back at that, boy, there was a lot of panic ensued for that. I mean, $9 billion a day in economic activity was affected, but They made it seem like this thing was going to be blocked for months, didn't they? When this thing started, 6 days. I mean, to me, that doesn't seem unreasonable. Okay, you had to ship that big loose power, which may or may not have been, purposefully done.
Could have been sabotage.
So, I mean, it takes some time to get people there to get the ship running, you would think. They had to dredge the sand and mud underneath it. I don't think 6 days is that slow a turnaround for someone. I mean, for the ship captains out there and everybody else,
from China.
Probably.
You have to get it FedEx.
They couldn't take it through the Suez Canal to get to you.
You know, it is interesting how, if you think about it, of course, I saw some aerial photos, and they
might have had to go around the Cape Horn.
They were in the middle of nowhere with that deal.
Yeah.
No, on a serious note, though, you would think if it absolutely, positively had to get moving, you would think that if it lost power, they could have a mechanic there that day, and that they should be able to air flight in any part by the next day. It is. I think the ship got wedged in there to the point that it wasn't so much that. Once they got it free, I think they had power to motivate. Good
morning, 10 tugboats to help pull it free too.
Yep. Good morning, Rena Shear.
Yeah, Junior Sample says that ship should never have lost power. Something's very wrong. That's kind of what we think too.
Yeah, I now believe
because that boat was it wasn't even 3 years old. I think it was. They started building it in 2015. I think it first was commissioned in like 2000, like around this time or May of 2018. That's not even a 3-year-old boat. I mean, that thing's not even out of warranty yet. 3 years
under warranty.
3 years, 36,000 miles. It's got plenty still.
It's under warranty.
Powertrain's another 2 years, another 14,000 miles.
If it's a Chrysler, it could be like 100,000 miles.
Ashley Paul, good morning. Amanda Smith King, but yeah.
Ashley Paul's awfully excited this morning. It's like 6 exclamation points.
Well, whatever she ordered from Amazon is coming. Was on that boat, I'm sure.
There you go. Good morning, Ashley. She just wanted some attention.
Yeah. Junior says, I'm prior Navy. They're self-reliant. That makes you wonder too. That's what I thought. Aren't there usually
there's mechanics on there? There's a parts department on there. There really is. I mean, no doubt.
Scott Tomko, good morning.
Good morning, Scott.
And then Amazon today, I think the workers in Alabama are voting on whether or not to unionize. They're making on average over $15 an hour at that big facility. They got 6,000 workers. That'll be an interesting vote. I just think you're gonna.
There's Roy Gutierrez.
I think you're gonna.
Ron Sick is playing. Oh yeah, how about that? T-Lat points out. I didn't see that. T-Lat points out great first game for GSM Insurers. Those of you that embrace the opportunity to teach young people the great game of baseball, to instill in them that it's just fun, that they should just learn and try to get better. Folks like you get beat by folks like me and Dawn, who just ruled a team last night from Edna. I'm just saying, 15-3. There was never a doubt. Donnie was screaming at kids, go, get to second. You're up. She had them sliding, diving, taking kids out. We're sharpening rubber spikes in the dugout. Every kid wants to. Today, I'm Ty Cobb. Everybody wants to have a bad attitude. We're like the bad news bears.
Staples in their shoes.
The bad news gummy bears. No kidding. We had a great game last night. And
sounds like it.
Hats off to GSM for sponsoring the team. And T-Lat's just they kind of dismiss her a little bit. It's really funny. It's because we'll be somewhere and the other coaches are like, "Is your husband the coach?" I'm like, "Really? Good luck with her." Yeah. Good luck. Then we just bury them.
You're lucky your cojones aren't up in your throat after that one.
Well, yeah, we had a scrimmage the other day, and I said, "Well, hey, do you want to call the dogs off?" Not yet. We're good. So we just went ahead and kept scoring. She ain't messing around.
Well, should we take our first break?
Allen's Wrecker Service, 578-6300. Reach out to Allen's anytime. No matter where you are, they will come and get you. I learned something when one of our listeners had a need close to Gonzales. Allen's dispatched a driver from Cuero. That's a big difference. If you've got to start over here on 59, by the time you get to Cuero is a half hour. Nope.
Or more.
Yeah, that guy beat him there. There's Alex Alvarez says, y'all do an amazing job with our boys. They need a little kick in the tail sometimes, and y'all are good at it. That says y'all are doing great. Thank you, sir.
Christina Wise, good morning.
He's a little precursor. His son, Levi, going to be on the bump this next week. We play Thursday night. I'd start selling some tickets out there, giving away some merch. Maybe next year Wade and Carter will sponsor a team. We can see. We'll see that. I don't know. It's technical. It's very technical for us. The VCS companies, Rocket Oilfield Services, and the only locally owned and authorized AT&T retailer all reside on Kerr Boulevard. That's just inside the loop off Main. The Hartman family can help you with everything from surveillance and security to a new iPhone or iPad or Samsung unit. Get by there for all your electrical accoutrement, and they will help you enjoy your technology experience. If it's got communication in its purpose or television or surround sound, get the big picture. Electronic gadgets are right up their alley. I used to joke, well, what if I want to walk from one room to the other and just have the music follow me? J.R. Hartman said, oh, yeah, we can do that. We can do that. Good morning, Jeff Finley. Hope you're doing well,
sir. You can't afford it, but we can do that.
Yeah, you can't afford it. You tell me I can't afford
exactly.
it. Months and months to pay. Stop at finance on your way out. Chesnick Furniture, 101 years in downtown Victoria, 70 at their current location.
Absolutely.
Bobby Leon and his family want your family to know that you just do better at Chesnick. And Chesnick and Love make your house a home. Stop by, get bedding. They've got Tempur-Pedic bedding. You've got all kinds of great furniture, best recliners. That's not just like an opinion. That's the brand.
That's the brand. And they live up to their name.
Leather, cloth. They've got, recliners. As you
sofas. They've got everything.
Get by their Love seats. You get to be my age. A Love seat's really just a big chair.
That's all it is.
Just a big chair with an ottoman. Veracruz today. Caldo Wednesday.
No, tomorrow is.
But Taco Tuesday at Veracruz is great. Get by there today and enjoy the fantastic Jalisco Fair. I just made that up at Veracruz.
I think you're right, though.
You'll enjoy it. And then, of course, Texas Limo.
Texas Coast Limo.
Reach out to, Texas Coast Limo, TCL, baby. Reach out to Bob Constantine at 575 Limo.
576 Limo, too, if the first one's busy.
There you go.
Couple numbers for you. The Iceman is in. Judge Posey asked, he's been wondering how my brother and his family are doing since the December fire, and have they started rebuilding. Appreciate everybody who reached out to help, offered their support, sent messages of hope and encouragement, and good opportunity to provide an update. They were in a home for about 3 months, I think, and then they just recently moved into a more permanent home until their house is built closer to where their home was. So the kids could stay in the same schools and still play on the same hockey teams and all that stuff, be closer to friends. So, their old place, it's amazing. They go by every once in a while and still find something.
It's got to be a little bit sad. It doesn't take you long to say, well, we all got out safe and everything's fine. Those things can be replaced. These are valuable life lessons, but there are always great lessons when somebody else is learning them. It's very difficult. Now, on a lighter note, they did raise $6.7 million with their GoFundMe, but the problem was they were Canadian dollars, so they've got a down payment on a double wide at this time. Folks from Calgary, Alberta, Canada, welcome in. We've heard rumors that the presence is growing in that region. We appreciate you folks.
So was the snow. It was a pretty good snowfall yesterday.
Who gets snow? What is that? I mean, we're
March.
Like that's 68 here.
Yeah, they're still good for some more snow. But they met with the builder the other day. My brother, I talked to him on the weekend, and he said they think they can get him into their new home probably by the end of August, which is good. They were able to reuse the foundation, the basement, and such. It wasn't structurally damaged, so really appreciate. Thanks, Judge, for keeping them in your thoughts and prayers, and thank everybody who listens, who helped them out, because that's been quite the ordeal.
Remember, Judge Posey was the first person to donate when we offered that opportunity.
Now, Mayor, good morning.
Gayla Golf throws something out. I know she's being in jest, but I'll tell you. It says Dale Fowler going to be appointed Victoria mayor. Let me tell you two parts of that. One is you may not know that Dale Fowler has been the head or the chairman, CEO, I think, of the Victoria Economic Development Corp for quite a while, and resigned. Just walked in and resigned. I have not talked to Dale. Dale's a friend, and as much fun as we have with the VEDC, Dale Fowler was extremely qualified to do economic development, knows everybody in Austin, and I think did as good a job as their bylaws allowed him to do. There's certain things they can do, certain things they can't do, and Dale worked extremely well and diligently and hard throughout that system. Apparently walked in and said, "Hey, I'm done. I've heard," and Dale, you're always welcome to call 575-9509. I've heard Dale is taking an economic development role with AEP. And those of you from Victoria long term will remember that Dale Fowler worked at CPL and AEP from like 1984 to 2001. He's a veteran. He's been around, and so he's kind of going home. You say, well, what does AEP need? Economic development. Let's say that Caterpillar is going to come in. Somebody like AEP is critical to the construction of that facility and to the viability, because you've got to find a way to get the substation over there to get the power to that unit. And Dale will be really, really strong in that role because he absolutely knows economic development and he knows AEP. Now, to him being appointed Victoria mayor, no chance. Okay, no chance. He might, he won't, but he might run for mayor. But there's going to be a special election. I think the cutoff date to put your name in the hat is May the 3rd, and the special election will be on July the 3rd, which is the Saturday before July 4th weekend.
Has anybody announced? I don't recall hearing anybody yet.
And I'm calling you people out. Those of you that think you may want to be, it is wrong. It is wrong for you to jockey around in the name of politics. If you want to lead this city, step up and say it. Call us and say it. Call us and announce you want to run. 575-9509. Why not? No better place, no better audience to hear that you want to lead this city than to call Wade and Carter for sure.
Clayton Meyer, good morning to you. Jeff Fonseca says Dale Fowler is the best to not yet win a major.
Right. He would be like the
I'd say Caterpillar's a major. You're going to be equivalent.
Well, it's at least a players' championship. Yeah, it may not be one of the big four. Certainly not an Open, not a Masters.
Not a Masters.
Could be a PGA.
Could be a PGA.
Yeah.
Not a US Open. Well, it could be a US Open when you think about it.
That was a good run.
You're competing against probably the entire country for that.
Mike Boschy says Carter for mayor. Please, folks, just type no. Stop. Oh, Andrew Young says one person.
I was not aware of that.
Dr. Young, can you tell us who that one person is?
It's public information, right?
It is public information. He just hasn't. He's milking it. For all your podiatric needs, reach out to Dr. Andrew Young. Fantastic.
Randy Langston says he'll do it. Underqualified and over-opinionated.
Who said they were going to? That was me, Randy. Who says that they would like to run? Junior Sample says he'd love to run.
But don't think Victoria would want him to run.
No.
Jamie Coleman, good morning. Chris Ray Brissett checking in.
Good morning.
So I missed the one.
That's Sheree. It's not. Yeah, Chris is in bed.
But it's a one.
It's not even hyphenated. No, it's just completely dominated by the feminine side.
Emasculated.
Yeah. There's no man there left.
No, none.
Androgynous dude and Sheree.
Anybody surprised that the World Health Organization's report on the origins of the COVID-19 came away with basically no conclusions? No, remember they went back in, they had to investigate the investigation. Remember they were doing that and announced that they were going to go back in, and so
they don't dispute that it was the Wuhan province. They just are saying that they can't tell you whether it was from a monkey or from a lab or if it was man-made.
Failed to answer the key questions: the when, where, how the virus first started spreading, following a 4-week on-site probe.
Man-made, disseminated. All part of a world political.
Well, it makes you want, because last week they were saying, well, it seems this virus was around in China but 4 months before. Remember we talked about that with the satellite photos of activity at hospitals.
They may have experimented with it.
So that, now it makes sense. They came out with that official finding last week so that this report, when they had because now that throws into, it wasn't in December, it was before that, right? So now, it just validates the WHO not being able to figure anything out.
Absolutely.
In conjunction with the Communist Chinese Party, who tried to cover it up to begin with.
Wuhan, I tried. I woke up in a Shanghai hospital, IVs in my arm. The WHO? Sorry. Good morning, Sheriff Louderback. Hope you're doing well, sir.
Kathleen Leininger says their hands are dirty from day one, colluding with China. Absolutely. The tweets are there, so just go back and look for them. Oh, there's nothing to see here, folks. There's the old Jedi mind tricks that they were pulling.
I was in Edna yesterday, and Dawn's car has like an electronic governor on it in Jackson County. It just won't go any faster than the speed limit. Complete scared to deafness on my part.
That's strictly for self-preservation.
Yeah, I don't want to get pulled over there. Can you imagine Sheriff Louderback could go, ring him up, make an example of that guy.
Zach Smith says, great day to be a Victorian. Anybody announced a mayoral run yet? Apparently one, but we don't know who.
Andrew Young is teasing us.
He said there's one, but yeah, we had no idea who.
Zach Smith, any chance? Are you in?
You in, Zach?
You got the hair for it.
Or you learned your lesson the last time and said enough's enough. That was the biggest thing you and I talking. I'm not going to put your stuff on blast, but boy, it just took a toll personally, right?
Yeah, it just wears you out when all you care about is trying to fix the stupid streets.
And you can take the slings and the arrows, but when they start going after everybody else, that's garbage.
People start coming after parts of your family. They start talking about stuff you did 10 years ago, stuff you didn't do 10 years ago. I'm like, there's disgruntled girlfriends that were just never were going to make the cut, and they start talking smack and. Oh goodness, just shut up. Wasn't worth it.
Yeah. What is that? Dr. Fauci says that there's a disease that doesn't have symptoms. You don't know if you have it, so you still have to wear your mask, according to Richard King.
Dr. Fauci's a joke.
What were some things yesterday that he was I heard something that he was saying yesterday that just made no sense. But now President Biden says that about 90% of American adults will be able to get the vaccine before April 19th as they start rolling it out to pharmacies and such. Canada just announced that they're going to stop giving the AstraZeneca vaccine to anybody, I think, under the age of 55.
Look at Zach. If the community would show up and actually turn out to vote all in due time. Yeah. Okay, Zach, you hang on to that thought.
So he's moving.
Yeah, you hang on to that thought.
They did turn up to vote.
Yeah, they did.
Speaking of which, anybody, a lot of flap after Georgia changed their election laws late last week, and which I thought was interesting because a poll in January in the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, is that their newspaper, which I'm assuming would be very, very leftist in its readership, as most newspapers are.
Right.
74% of those that they polled, and they polled almost 900 people, and they were all registered voters.
Good group.
And 74% of them that they said they were in favor of voter ID laws. And what this means is you're going to have to actually send a photocopy or a copy of your driver's license or some other form of photo ID in order to get a mail-in ballot. I don't think you're going to see the mail-in ballot used to the degree that it was this last time.
And it shouldn't be.
No, I agree.
People want to get off their duff and go vote.
But for them to dog whistle the electioneering laws that were enacted where you can't go and do anything, you can't interact with somebody within 100 feet of the polling place, into almost like it's a survival mode. Like you're being inhumane if you can't hand somebody a bottle of water within 100 feet. First of all, most people aren't standing in line for your run-of-the-mill, local school board election. If they're going to be standing in line for an election in Georgia, it's going to be the first Tuesday of November when the weather isn't extremely hot in general. But lots of chance to early vote. I just think if you need water and sustenance to stand in line to vote, you might have some other issues that are more pressing in just keeping yourself alive than voting. But to think that, and I know what they're trying to prevent on both sides. Here, I'm from Congressman so-and-so's office. Have a bottle of water. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much.
That's what they're trying to do. That last minute, I mean, that's why you can't put signs within certain, a certain distance of the doors. That's what they're trying to prevent. But for people like Al Sharpton and others to turn this into a dog whistle that people are going to die while standing in line, ready to vote, waiting to vote, is just ridiculous. Right. And the mainstream media runs with this crap, and they don't see through it, and they don't call them out on it, because the mainstream media is the propaganda arm of the left, like Al Sharpton and others.
So do you want to know who's also signed up to run for mayor? I went to the Victoria website.
Sure.
Folks, the city has a website. You can go to the website. All this stuff's public information.
Yeah. Chris Raper says, but they stand in line to get into Walmart at the start of the COVID with no problems. Yeah.
Young gentleman named David Crook, Crook. David Crook.
Okay.
At least he's honest. Says he's a veteran, VETERN, and a student, 32 years old.
All right. Good for him.
Good for him for stepping out there.
Running. Yep. So good.
Talk about stepping out there. You're not going to do it. Someday somebody's going to step out there carrying you. Let Dana Moore De La Garza take care of that for you. 652-9157. Whether you need a full-blown funeral, military honors, whether you need music set that you want to choose, you want to be cremated, you need a plot at Memory Garden, you need Charlie Heibolt and his staff to take care of you at Grace. Dana can do all of this, navigate all of this for you. If all you do is get with Dana Moore so that you understand, wow, I had no idea it was that expensive, or, oh, I would have thought it was more expensive, reach out to Dana Moore De La Garza. It's free. 652-9157. I'd be willing to bet you that 2/3 of you can't get within a couple of grand of what a funeral really costs. And it's not cheap. So the thing to do is get with her, say, I don't need all that. I don't want that. Oh, I don't have to have that. I don't want that. I'm going to save my family some money. I'm going to pay for it in advance, and this is a done deal. 652-9157. Motto Mortgage, same thing.
Terry Murray, she can tell you, I mean, she'll help you save money right now. If you're in a home and you're stuck in an interest rate well above 3%, pushing 4 or 5,
she can help you get that rate down. Probably shorten your term and maybe even lower your payments while shortening your term. Roll all the expenses into the deal and go on. Why not have a lower house payment? We all essentially, I mean, I'm 58 years old. I've got 30 years left on my mortgage. I'm not going to pay this house off.
You ain't going to be there.
Why not lower the rate to as low as you can? You're just renting it from yourself anyway.
Give Terry a call, 541-5454.
Went Services, generators, solar panels, Went Electrical, Went Plumbing, Went Services. Whatever you need done around the house, reach out to Went. Whether you want a new Kohler, Cummins, Generac, it's storm season. They can hook it up. It'll run on natural gas, propane, diesel, gasoline. They can help you so many ways. Reach out to Went Services before the storm. You can't buy the generator while the hurricane, like in the middle of the eye of the storm. Hey, we got 30 minutes. Can you get over here? The wind's been coming from the east. It's going to come from the west. And just call them now.
How many calls do you get for somebody when the storm's like barreling down to insure their home?
Hey, can you help me out? I think I got some hail damage on my roof. Yeah, get with me after the back wall comes through. Maybe it'll put it back. USA Concrete Coating, same thing. They'll clean, seal the cracks, put a polyurethane coat on your garage floor that'll spruce up your entire home. It's better than epoxy. It's got colors in it, and it's slip resistant, antimicrobial, antibacterial, won't stick to your tires, won't stain, won't fade. It's a miracle. It's a miracle, I tell you. Reach out, 578-HOME.
It'll help a screen door boat float.
Absolutely. A new car. Reach out to
USA Concrete Coatings, 578-HOME.
And for your next big party, your get-together, family reunion, office sales meeting, 920-6803. Reach out to Cheryl at the Gray Barn. Let Cheryl come in and spruce it up. If you have a theme for your next sales meeting. She knows it's a sales meeting. She knows you're trying to increase your sales. She's not going to charge you 10 grand for this. Reach out to her. Maybe it's a creative display. Maybe it's something that helps harken back the history of your firm. Maybe it motivates your people. Tell Cheryl what you want to have happen, and she'll help you decorate.
Absolutely. 920-6803.
Good morning, J Dub. Sorry about the weather. Sorry about the weather.
Yeah, well, I hope you're still cleaning up all that snow.
Callie Fromme wants to send something because Fonseca says that he wants a Twitter post. Callie Fromme.
She said, do you know how much an obituary costs?
Yeah, that's ridiculous. I know people that have subscribed to the Victoria Advocate for their entire lives. They die, and the Advocate charges them like $7.50 on the way out to put, a little blurb in there about grandma.
It's not just the Advocate; every paper does.
No, then they all suck. Okay, all newspapers suck.
It's not a person. It's not a public.
Well, why isn't
service?
It? Why isn't it? I mean,
why would it be?
Well, because it ought to be.
Why should it?
Because you're just such a liberal. It ought to be. That's why when I really want to offend you, I call you liberal. Because that's not free enterprise. You don't gouge
liberal
somebody.
In the truest classic sense of the word. So less government.
I can advertise my business for $300. If I advertise my grandmother passing,
they charge by the word.
That's
or the letter, maybe.
That's ridiculous.
Was anybody surprised, as I was, to see a guest column op-ed from Ben Shapiro
in the
Advocate over the weekend?
They're acquiescing to the conservative right. I like it.
So.
I do want to let you know, seeing Callie Fromme, this Friday, local McDonald's are giving 10% of some number of their profit, I think, 10% to the Victoria 100 Club. So on Good Friday, maybe whip in and get a filet of fish sandwich.
You should do that.
Right? Or you can get a breakfast in the morning and know that they're going to
all day long.
Yeah.
On this Friday, Good Friday. So great way to support the 100 Club of Victoria, which does so much. And as we found out last week, they bought actually 2 motorcycles for VPD. They provide insurance. They provide, they're there
training
for the families of anybody who might be killed in the line of service.
Life insurance, scholarships. Yeah. Steve Kidder says it used to be a courtesy for the public, but they figured out a way to make money. Now, normally I would be 100% for that. I'm all about capitalism. But if you're a subscriber to the Advocate and you've been paying them 75 cents a day or whatever the stupid number is for that toilet paper rag to come to your house, and then you kick it, the least they could do is buy you an obituary on the way out. I mean, how about a cup of coffee? Something. Now, if you're
might be a way to sell a lifetime subscription.
Right. Yes. Buy a lifetime subscription and we'll give you a free obituary. There we go into marketing. Next thing you know, if Wade and Carter marketed the Advocate, they would double their subscriptions. There's no doubt about it.
I
was just channeling a little bit of inner Rush Limbaugh arrogance. You know that. You know how that works.
What did I see? Somebody posted that they like to read to see what family members have died. I'm like, oh, that's a close family.
Wow, they're tight. Well, I'm sure that you get a public notice. And if you want the glossy 8x10 and you want somebody to write up something, that's a
there'll be the death notice.
I get that. Sure.
I don't think they charge for that, but.
I'm really just trying to rile our friend George Coleman. Maybe he'll call in and say, we got bills to pay over here.
That's what I'm saying.
They really don't. They don't anymore. They don't have bills to pay anymore. They sold off all their buildings. They closed up all their printing presses. They sub everything out to Corpus Christi in the name of preserving Victoria jobs. There's like 6 people here. The Advocate. What's left of the Advocate? Victoria Advocate. It's not really the Advocate anymore.
Christina Wise asked if they get charged when they list a person for arrest. No, because that's public record.
Yeah, but yeah.
They just go and they send somebody down to look at the arrest log, see if there's a name on there they recognize.
You'll start seeing the venom as we heat this thing up. I mean, if David Crook ever got a speeding ticket, the Advocate will have a writer out there asking him how he felt about breaking the law.
Speaking of which, Maxine Waters, you see the crap she pulled yesterday or over the weekend in an interview? She says the police are there, and I'd like to see if Chief Arredondo would back up her statement on this. The police are there to keep black people down.
That's just a stupid comment by a fake outrage wannabe.
If anybody's done anything to keep black people down and impoverished people down, it's Maxine Waters.
Because she's so stupid.
She's been in office at some level. She's been in Congress, I think. Was she senator?
I don't know. No, she can't be a senator. Way too stupid to be a senator. No, she's from Texas.
No, she's California.
No, she's too stupid.
She's been in Washington, D.C. since 1991. Yeah. She's been in some form of elected office since 1976.
She's really being held down for being – she's not being held down for being black or stupid.
Yeah, let me see if I can find that quote because it was just ridiculous.
You know, Maxine is the one that said, when you see Republicans, you need to confront them. You need to go up and get in their face.
Yeah. She says that police believe their job is to keep black people in their place. That's the quote from her interview over the weekend. And HR says, tell that to Trooper Chad Walker, who was shot because he stopped to help a broken down motorist. Yeah, I know HR probably knows a little bit more, and I'm, absolutely praying for you guys. He just stopped
to help the guy,
And didn't he call it in? Didn't he call in the fact that he was broken down? It was, I think it turned out to be more of an ambush than.
Really?
Yeah. That's what I had read yesterday when learning a little bit more about that.
Wow.
Yeah, and then he killed himself when police were closing.
Coward, pure coward.
Guy that was, more proof our gun laws don't work. Here's a guy that was arrested and served 10 years for armed robbery. Shouldn't have had a gun.
Shouldn't have been on the street.
Right? No, he served his time.
No.
But ex-felon. By law, shouldn't have had a gun. Oops, broke the law again. But more laws are going to stop idiots like this from doing what he did. How does that make a black police officer feel? That Maxine Waters tells you your job is all you're doing is your job keeping black people down.
And here's the fact that nobody gets, and don't look, I was going to preface it by saying, don't let this offend you if you happen to be black. But, if it offends you, then just go back and listen to it again. The problem we've got in this country is there is a last-ditch effort being made to give people rights or special treatment just for being black. The plight of Black America is well documented. The atrocities and the tragedies that have afflicted Black America for 2 centuries here, 3 or 4, are well documented and obvious. But in the strange irony of life, Black America doesn't matter anymore as Black America. They matter as Americans. As Americans, they're entitled to the same rights as all of us. But when politicians talk about problems, do you not understand?
There's no problems that afflict Americans anymore. It's always a certain group, whatever it is, whether it's skin color, socioeconomic status, doesn't matter. It's always it's never a plight on Americans anymore.
You've got to understand that if black people killing black people in Chicago really mattered to politicians, it would have stopped by now. They would have sent enough police presence in there that it stopped. You know what they say? We're not going into that part of town. And they don't go, and they don't care that Black America is killing itself. They don't care. The problems in this country center much more on being brown problems than black problems. Illegals, Hondurans, Guatemalans, all of those things take precedence over the manufactured issues of Black America. I'm sorry. I'm just telling you the truth. Nobody cares anymore. And that, I'm not saying that's good. I'm saying look in the mirror. If you try to tell me, oh, this is unfair to blacks, people go, so have you seen our border? That's what people are telling me every day.
And you look at the surveys to defund the police. Black Americans don't want to defund the police.
No, they don't. No, especially those that have any age on them at all. There's
white Americans that want to defund the police.
Yeah, Jeff Fonseca says Maxine Waters' husband Roger was great with Pink Floyd. Well, he could play the guitar. But you wonder you've got people risking their lives to sneak into this country to exist illegally, along with those that are being trafficked in. And you wonder if somebody in the black community should step up and say, hey, shut up. You were born here. You're already an American. Seize the opportunities. Take advantage of the benefits. Quit being part of the problem.
Well, they do, and the leftists call them Uncle Toms, traitors.
She's bad.
They don't elect. They'd rather elect another white dude,
right,
instead of the black woman or man who's running for Congress in that district, just because they're not a Democrat.
Right. Well, Kathleen Leininger, right there. They call it lie, divide, and conquer. Karl Marx, Cloward.
Yeah, no, it's exactly what's going on. It's still continuing in communist China right now. It's what they do, and it's just, yeah.
And all this stuff comes around when the Democrats are trying to unite everybody. Real quick break, tell you about Atzenhofer.com. Atzenhofer.com today is your place to go and shop for brand new Cadillac, Mazda, Chevy, Mitsubishi. There's pre-owned cars. They change every day. Photos, detailed photos about mileage, engines types, all that stuff is all their horsepower. All that stuff is all on their website. You can also go to the dealership, walk around. They don't hassle you. They come out to help you if you have questions. Great low-key delivery, because if you don't buy it today, they're going to be there tomorrow. But they also have a great paint and body shop, and they do all service on all makes and models. I'm about due for an oil change. I'll take it over there and drop it off. I didn't buy it there. It is none of the aforementioned brands, and they take great care of it at the Atzenhofer dealership. White Trash Services, 550-1826. Talked to James Kurth just yesterday. Said he was making the commitment to White Trash Services yesterday. How about that?
Hello, James, on YouTube.
James, you're
one YouTuber. Look, there's one.
Thanks for being there, brother. That's James Kurth, because he is now out on Facebook. We look so much better on Facebook.
We do.
I'm sorry for the way we appear on YouTube.
Razor IT Solutions, John Paul Hull can handle all of your IT data issues, questions,
general
concerns.
Marriage counseling. If you just have issues with your spouse, JP's just a plethora of information. I made that up, but he would go with it.
He'll keep everybody from hacking your site, keep your data secure, encrypted.
Yes, great guy.
Help you monetize and drive traffic to your site as well.
Aggie owned and operated. That's Razor IT Solutions. The law offices of Stephen Kidder. If you don't need Stephen yet is the key word. Whether you want to form a trust, a corporation, you want to dissolve a relationship, either business or personal, you want to adopt a child, you have a legal issue where you're being sued, Steve Kidder is always willing to talk to you. And there could be a situation where Stephen would say, you know what, you need a different kind of lawyer. He'll also give you advice, and he's not going to charge you for that. Reach out to Steve Kidder, the law offices of Complete 360. Complete went yesterday, had a smoothie. T-Light and I formulated something new. They've got things on the board, but you can tell them what you want. They have one called an Elvis. Got peanut butter and
I saw that. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Fried banana sandwich, man.
That one looked pretty darn good.
Come on, Scylla. Come on, Scylla. Get Lisa Marie. Let's go for a ride.
If the peanut butter wasn't in there, I'd probably something else.
It's got a little twang to it, but I liked it. Yeah.
Just not a huge peanut butter fan.
Kathleen Leininger throwing out some history. Guess who fought to keep slavery? Democrats. Brought you the KKK. Democrats. Eulogized Robert Byrd, former organizer for the KKK. Right now, modern day, the racist Joe Biden. No doubt about it. Joe Biden's a racist. No doubt about it. Poor kids are just as smart as white kids.
Yep.
Come on. Are you serious, Joe? There's no poor white kids, or
you vote for Trump, you're not black.
Minorities are not smart. Oh, well, we can't do Obamacare on the online because our inner city blacks and Hispanics don't know how to get on the internet. That's a Joe Biden quote.
Yep.
Really? You think there's something about somebody? I mean, like they don't know how to get online? Really, Joe?
Just because of the color of their skin.
Racist. Pure D racist. And it's not really his fault. They say racism is learned. He's been in Congress 48 years, people.
Had a mentor.
He's been in Washington, D.C. 48 years. Trust me, when Joe Biden walks down the streets of D.C. at night, he is scared of black people. That's a fact.
He doesn't walk at night. He's in bed.
Early. They're trying to acclimate him. We've done all of our sponsors.
Yeah.
We have 9 minutes and change left.
We got lots to talk about.
I'd love for somebody to call, too.
Yeah.
Where's Drunk Lady?
Speaking of Joe Biden, he announced a goal of installing 30 gigawatts of offshore wind power by 2030, 50% more than current projections, and they say it would provide enough power for 10 million homes.
Because nothing lasts forever, and you put a generator with metal moving parts on the ocean, it cuts its life by about 2/3. That's the dumbest idea in the history of the world.
And what are they going to do? And here's how this will play out. You watch. When they have to rebuild those windmills, turbines in the ocean, well, we're just going to put them under here and they'll become reefs for marine life. That's how they're going to do it.
Not to mention, if you just go right offshore where it's nice and you can't, deep water electrical generation is dumb. The storms are going to knock them over. And this is just dumb. It's this Pollyannic garbage that the government tries to make you believe. Can you imagine, like, we've got a hurricane in the Gulf. The good news is everybody's getting free electricity because it's blowing 140 miles an hour out there. Then PETA's going to be out there trying to cut them down because they're worried about the seagulls flying into them.
Patrick Strauss says until it freezes. What's interesting with that, even if they're not frozen over, this last cold snap that Texas had, the 500-year freeze, it was insanely cold in Alberta. And I went and looked. The amount of power being generated by wind turbines in Alberta, which has quite a few, was negligible. We're talking like, I think at most 3% of the power to the entire province of Alberta, right, which in area-wise is bigger than Texas. Population-wise, about 1/10. Just to give you an idea of the scope of size and the population. I think on the high side, about 3% of the power being generated is by wind turbines. They may not have froze up, but they aren't working when it's that cold because It's just not reliable. Regardless of the technology that they have in place to keep them from freezing, they're not using them. They ramped up their natural gas. They fired up more coal.
Yeah, they lobbed out a lie during the storm that told us that our wind power in Texas accounts for 25% of the power generated in this state. I just don't believe it. I mean, it may account for 25% in normal times, but not 25% of the capacity. There's just not enough being generated. Kelly Fromey says that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris travel together on Air Force One. Good. I mean, what do you call an empty seat on that plane? A tragedy.
I don't call that ever happening. Do you?
No.
I mean, they might have. I don't know. I don't think
those two together don't add up to Mike Pence.
I don't think it's. I mean, is that normal for both to fly on Air Force One? I don't know.
Absolutely not. I mean, you got to have a separation for power.
Have you noticed the White House? The White House website now is the Harris-Biden administration. It's no longer, or the Biden-Harris is no longer the Biden administration.
That's because they're getting you mentally
ready.
Exactly. They're going to take his power. How are you people going to feel, whether you're Republican or Democrat? Although if you're Democrat, you should feel sheepishly stupid. How are you going to feel when in this term Joe Biden is relieved of duty after we stood here long before the election and told you that was going to happen? Now, we're not the only people. I'm not taking credit for the comment, but I'll stand by the comment. There is no chance that Joe Biden survives this entire term as president. We knew it before he was elected.
What do we say the over-under was? 2 years?
Yeah, the Democrats elected
I don't think he's going 2 years.
No, the Democrats elected a dead man. And how embarrassed you should be for our country that you said, we would take Joe Biden. Or you could be Peter McNally. We will take Joe Biden. I like Joe Biden. Joe Biden's a fine man. He's got character.
Kevin Leininger says, since it's Democrats installing, does that mean the environmentalists will go suspiciously silent?
Absolutely. Absolutely. The environmentalists won't say a word because they'll get part of that $1.9 trillion.
They still talk about the old, the BP disaster in the Gulf, right? How many years ago was that?
Forever.
Don't recall we've had any more since.
I don't recall that it's had any really lasting effects either, to be honest. I mean, it could have been really terrible, but raw crude oil is a natural phenomenon. I mean, it's not like it was something that man made. It's the earth absorbs its problems. It's what happens. It's over.
They don't want you to know that.
They don't.
I mean, all you have to do is look at the effects immediately after a wildfire. Not the human impact on those sorts of tragedies, but you get into somewhere where humans aren't impacted at all. The regrowth, the rebirth, the nutrients that get put back into the soil from overgrown areas where the tree canopies no longer let sunlight in.
Right.
I mean, it's a drive up to Bastrop and see what's happened in the last
poof.
It's amazing. I mean, the trees aren't quite as tall.
No, not yet.
But Earth is a pretty magical place when it comes to being able to survive these sorts of things and revive in the wake of them. And the scientists just absolutely discount that because they don't want you to know that this rock has been here long before any of us and is going to be here long after any of us.
And constantly changes. It's the arrogance of man to believe that we rapidly change the environment. The environment is constantly changing, morphing, changing, and growing.
I mean, have we had some impacts? Absolutely. Acid rain was a disaster for the Great Lakes in the 60s and 70s.
Sure.
And we had to take steps to preserve them. They were dying. They were killing people.
Sure.
And the fish.
Lake Erie was on fire.
Yeah.
Pretty cool, though.
But
Marie Day says, ever since the Conoco tragedy where the top executives were killed in a jetliner accident, it's a normal practice for corporate executives to travel separately. Yeah, you just don't want your entire team on one. That's why you and I rarely ride together. Yeah, if something happened, Caleb would have somebody to go to.
I'm curious as to why this made news over the weekend. A Cessna-like plane was carrying 5 passengers leaving the Mexican state of Sonora on its way to Tucson, crashed on the way.
Right.
I heard
2 bodies.
I don't think anybody survived, but I'm curious as to why that would have made headlines on nationally syndicated news. Was it a slow news Saturday? Maybe. But who was on that plane that would have rose a small private plane crashing in the Mexican desert
to make
news in this country?
Peter McNally says, with the exception of immigration, Biden's poll numbers look pretty good. That's like saying, with the exception of Chernobyl and 3 Mile Island, nuclear power is super duper. My whole deal with that, Pete, is what are his poll numbers based on? You're right. With his poll numbers, Joe Biden is viewed as completely inept and ineffective. With his administration's stance on immigration, Joe Biden is viewed as inept. So what has he done to offset that? If we take out immigration, what has the man done? What has he done? Anything? Bueller?
The spending that's been passed, and part of this is on Trump as well, but
not being Donald Trump, right there. That's what H.R. Miller says. He's not Donald Trump, so his numbers are good. He's got better hair. His hair plugs are better than Trump's comb over.
But the bonds that the government went to sell, and I think I sent you this article yesterday.
Probably.
The government went to sell to pay for the $1.9 trillion.
Nobody bought them.
The reception was described as lukewarm at best.
Absolutely. Nobody wants to invest in this country right now because Joe Biden is our president. Nobody wants to invest in this country.
Well, that, and we've now got how many 28 trillion in debt?
Right. I mean, Marie Day says Biden has spent his time reversing everything Trump did. So he's a popular moron. Great. What's your point? Says Chris Conrad. Pete, 10,000 people against your thought doesn't make us all wrong. I mean, you've got to give me something. What has the man done? Name something positive he's done. Let's see. I know what he did. He got rid of those cages. No, he's still using the migrant facilities.
And actually, he's turned them into plastic rooms with I don't know what airflow. At least with the chain link.
Well, so how about this? I'll go with that, Peter. COVID actions look better since Biden took office. Guess what? He lied in January saying there was no vaccine before he took office. He got the vaccine in December before he took office. There is no COVID action without the work of Donald Trump streamlining the process, getting everybody. The Democrats called him reckless for rushing through the vaccine. Now the Democrats call you reckless if you don't rush to go get it. The hypocrisy of the left is incessant, and they just keep beating you in the face with it until you forget that they've lied to you both ways. The reality of this situation is, without Donald Trump forcing J&J and these folks to get busy, without forcing the FDA to relax some regulations to get something going, there is no COVID action. Bully for Joe Biden that he got a way to get some vaccines out to the public.
And now Fauci's out there taking credit for everything.
And he's a guy he's a double agent.
He didn't want you to wear masks at first. Told you there was no problems at the very beginning. Now he wants you to wear 3 masks with a vaccine.
Fauci will lick either boot, Republican or Democrat. But make no mistake, okay, Joe Biden has not bungled getting the vaccines out to the public. Bully for him, okay? But there is no vaccine without Donald Trump. So don't let Joe Biden take credit for that. Just be genuine.
And there's no distribution to get to about 1 million a day pre-Joe Biden administration if you didn't have a plan in place. So for Biden and Fauci and others to say there was no plan is absolute BS.
It's a complete lie. They did 1 million the last week that Trump was in office. Look at T-Let says, amen, Brett. Thank you, sweetheart. I'm not right often, but when I am, fortunately, it's on the air.
Yeah. Here were the words used to describe the new debt and the auctions of those bonds. Tepid, weak, not a good sign. Some in the market called it a disaster. People were not rushing out to buy our nearly $1 trillion worth of debt.
They are scared of Kamala. They have zero confidence. There's zero consumer confidence in Joe Biden. None. Nobody's rushing out and buying things because they're bullish on America right now.
And now he wants a tax on mileage?
Yeah, what a bonehead. What about those of us that have to drive in order to sell stuff, in order to pay the taxes that drive the economy?
To me, it goes beyond that. They want to know how much you drive, because on the heels of that will come a green carbon tax or something like that, right? So it won't just be a mileage tax to try to reduce your driving.
Your family's footprint's too big. We're going to charge
you on that. And they also, you watch. You're not only going to, there's going to be little boxes installed in every car. They're going to want to know everywhere you went.
And when you can't drive any longer because it costs too much, then they're going to tax you to death, and you'll sit around relying upon the government to provide you a living wage. If you're over 40, maybe you get $16 an hour. But don't worry, you don't need money because healthcare is going to be free. You people don't get it. You're not listening. They're going to tax you to death and then tax your death.
That's how they control you.
The government is out to get you, and they're winning. And good people are sitting around doing nothing.
And you have the left now trying to make victims out of these 2 teenage girls in Baltimore, Washington, D.C., that tased and killed a man, a recent immigrant to this country, who was trying to protect his property, his car, which was his livelihood because he drove for Uber and had a family to support. The victims are somehow the 13 and 15-year-old girls who tried to carjack him and killed him.
Absolutely. Do you see this? The folks in Milwaukee, they go for murder 2 on Derek Chauvin.
Minnesota.
Wherever.
Minneapolis.
Same thing. Where did I say?
Milwaukee.
Isn't that in Minnesota?
Close.
Who cares? Up there in Yankee land, a Yankee cop put his knee on the throat of a drug head. Oh, but the cop was white, the drug head was black. Okay, details. The guy dies, so it becomes a huge racial deal, even though they show now that he died. Toxicology reports show he died of a drug overdose.
Fentanyl to kill a horse.
Yeah, but that doesn't dismiss the fact that Derek Chauvin probably shouldn't have had his knee on his neck. We reported that here the day it happened. With that said,
probably should have called for an ambulance sooner than they did.
He's gonna walk.
I think he'll walk a murder too.
He's not guilty of murder too. Murder 2. Steve Kidder, give us a call, 575-95.
I don't think they're going to get a murder 3 charge on him either. I think there's a manslaughter charge on there, and that might even be a stretch.
But here's the problem. Like, I know that murder 2 somehow involves, it's not premeditated, but it involves intent. You intended to kill that person. So here's the problem you've got. When they can't prove that, because they can't prove it, there's no anger. He doesn't, you've seen the video. He's just got his knee on his neck. He's not like grinding it into him, trying to kill him. Guess what? He's going to walk and the streets are going to erupt. It's racism. It's all whitey. Hide and watch, people. It's going to be chaos again in Yankee land.
Well, because there's no victimless crimes, right? Well, he was just passing a fake 20 to the store owner, who now is the victim of that because he's got to deal with, he lost the merchandise. He has the fake 20 that's no longer good for anything.
No, the guy doesn't need to die for that.
No, I agree.
George Floyd is no big loss.
But to say that to continue on this narrative of trying to reduce sentences for some crimes that are victimless is garbage.
Absolutely.
There's victims. You know, if you're walking around with a joint in your pocket and you get stopped, fine. That to me, I mean, they've overcharged that. Send them home. Give him a ticket. Tell him to be more careful. Right. Don't be so stupid walking around with a bunch of weed in your pocket. But to say that there's no victims when somebody writes a hot check, somebody passes a fake 20, somebody does shoplifts, it's you and me, because we the consumers who legally purchase the products and don't go in and steal them have to pay for the increased prices, the increase in security, all the increase in that business owner's insurance to write off the losses.
Hard to do while we're defunding the police because we're upset about the racial implications of a drug head dying in the streets of
Minneapolis,
the home of Ilhan Omar. That's brilliant.
But when you don't want any laws anywhere, including our borders, this is where we're headed.
There you go. But hey, Joe Biden's numbers are good except for immigration. Folks, we're going to get out of here. It's after the top of the hour, which means it's practically Thursday in Newfoundland.
Almost, at least.
Hope that all of our Canadian listeners, you know, if you live in Canada right now, you should feel pretty good because